While I love eating fresh cauliflower, especially from the garden, I can't always keep up with the production. And so then I freeze it so that I can also have it during the winter months. My first step is to cut all of the little crowns off into bite-sized pieces. The best way that I've found this is to just cut out the center and then break off the crowns with my hand. I then want to cover this with a saltwater solution, and I do that, I'll go 1 tablespoon of salt and then 1 quart of water. Since it's still not covered, I'll do another tablespoon of salt and another quart of water. The idea is that I want all of these submerged, so I'm going to do 1 more. Depending on how much cauliflower you have, that determines how much you need of the salt water, but it's always going to be this ratio, 1 tablespoon of salt and 1 quart of water. And then I make sure they're nicely submerged, and I'll let this sit for 30 minutes. And what this will do is it will get any bugs that are in there to just fall out. This is the basket for my low country boil. I really like it for blanching the vegetables, especially when I'm doing large quantities. I'm actually going to use it as my colander as I drain this out and then rinse it. I have a little more than 2 gallons of water boiling here. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. And this is just my blanching liquid. And I'll mix that in nicely. I'll take my basket and put it inside the boiling salt water and let it boil for 3 minutes. So now I'll remove my basket out. I have to be careful though because everything is very hot. That steam is not nice. And I'll let it drain as much as I can. And then I'll dump it into my ice water. And I want to get it cooled down rather quickly, so I'll just make sure that it's nice and covered with that ice. And I'll let it sit in there for about 1 to 2 minutes. And now I'll take this back to my basket and I'll drain out all of that water. Then I'll place my crowns on a towel, and if there's any ice in there, I'll just pick it out at this point, because my goal now is to get these dry before I put them in the freezer. I try to make them so that they're just in a single layer here so that I can pat them dry with my towel. I don't want to squish them, but I do want to get them dry. And now I'll place all of my cauliflower on a pan that's been lined with a baking sheet. And I just make it a single layer. And I'll take this pan and put it in the freezer for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours until it's nicely frozen. My cauliflower is nice and frozen and ready to be bagged, but first I need to date and label my bag, because if I don't, it will be so much harder to write on this. Sometimes it seems kind of silly to label them because you think, oh, I'll remember when I did, or I'll remember what it was. But then when all is said and done, you look in there and you're thinking, was this last season or the season before that I froze that cauliflower? So it's just a good idea. And then it's so easy to get it out of this pan with that silicone mat, because you just kind of pull up and it breaks the little bits that are frozen next to each other, which is good because I don't want it to start to thaw. So I need to work quickly. If it thaws, then it will freeze all together and it'll end up being a cauliflower block. And then why did we even freeze them separately to start off with? But this way it's nice because when I want to make something for lunch, I can pull just a couple out of there, throw them in the pan, and it's no big deal. And then I try to pull out as much air as I possibly can. Sometimes my husband will actually put a straw into the bag. And I mean, it's possible. There's sometimes I'll even, let's see if I can do it, where I almost close the bag, but I leave a little opening, and then I just suck the air out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see how it does. And so then it's just kind of sucked down, almost like a vacuum seal, or you could just use a vacuum seal. So now I have some lovely cauliflower that's just waiting for when I need it.